It's time for another dip into the lovely, lovely pages of the archive.org, this time to find out some more things about fitting and tailoring systems from the late 1800s. Hello, it's Icy. That's right, I am back, and we are back at archive.org. And yes, that's right, we are back at archive.org because I have not finished a project for this fortnight. In fact, it's actually been 3 weeks since I posted the last actual sewing video because my sewing machine was out for service, and that took a while, and the other project that I was going to do I couldn't start for various reasons, so instead we're doing this. But I have an absolute gem, 2 gems actually, to share with you. The links are, of course, in the description, and I think you will find at least one of these useful to your own sewing journey, especially if you have a female-shaped body or are able to tailor things to fit your body from this system. So we are looking at the scientific lady tailor system for cutting ladies' dresses and coats. No fitting to do, improved and simplified, 2nd edition, as taught by Professor Louis Mulper, Washington, D.C. Now, I just need to read you this important notice because it is delightful. No person shall have any right whatever to use any manner of my scientific lady tailor system without having first procured from me or my authorized agent a book signed by me, entered according to an act of Congress on the 5th day of March 1891 by Louis Mulper in the office of the Librarian of Congress at Washington, D.C. Number of copyright 8,375, all rights reserved. And then there's an actual permission form to say this is to certify that Madame Icy has the right to use my improved system of dress cutting, for which has been paid the sum of $5. And I agree to use the said system for my own use only, and will not teach it to anyone without the written consent of the owner or a duly authorized agent. Which is amazing. Of course, we are well outside of copyright, so it is absolutely fine for me to be sharing this with you right now, but it's still just delightful that you have to sign it to say, yeah, you can use it. I think that's fantastic. Now, there is a lot of extremely good advice about sewing in this book. These notes about basting are absolutely spot on. Professor Mulper is talking about nicking the seams so that the seams will lie flat, or the waist will spring open. He's talking about not using too tight a machine stitch so it doesn't actually gather. He's saying talking about how to, in cutting velvet, the nap must be run up so it actually looks darker and more vibrant in color, but in sealskin it should be down so that the nap lies down so it's nice and smooth. In cutting plaid, be sure to match the stripes in the waistskirt and trimming, which can always be done. If you're using other material for lining, the waist cut crosswise, it's less apt to stretch. It's economy to use a good quality of material for lining, as a poor lining will wear out sooner than the outside goods, and the result will be that the seams will stretch and the waist will lose its shape. And a dress should not be made so tightly as to draw, and the corset should be pulled in as required, and the waist should be fitted over it easily without wrinkles. The seam will stretch and fray out if this rule is not followed, and the same corset should be worn with the dress as it was measured and fitted over, as different corsets do change the figure. A dressmaker should make it a rule never to measure a lady over an old or ill-fitting corset, which is just straight good advice. So the advice of this book is to ladies in private life. It's especially adapted to the use of the ladies who wish to alter or make their own dresses for home or morning wear, but not evening wear. It is as much trouble or more to a dressmaker to make a chintz or percale dress as one of more expensive material, yet few ladies are willing to pay as much, for it is probable that the making of it would often be 3 times as much as the original cost. If this class of work to be done by the ladies themselves, or if they choose to superintend it at home, professional dressmakers will have more time to devote to the finer or more artistic works. So, ladies, just make your own average things. Save your money and the time of the dressmaker for the fancy stuff. So, and to the young ladies, many of you object to spending at least 6 to 8 months' time in learning the trade. Most of those who do this are but wasting their time. There are few who are taught the art of measuring, drafting, or cutting by rule, basting and fitting, and all seams are put together differently, some having to be stretched while others should be held in. In fact, we have known dressmakers who never allowed their apprentices to get a glimpse of those necessary things, but kept them continually employed in one special branch, such as quilling, ruffling, fluting, buttonhole making, overcasting, etc. So, dressmakers were basically getting people to do the one job, which meant they were not learning all of the trade to become a dressmaker, so they could never leave their employ and start their own business and become a competitor. Wow, I guess things don't change. So, we guarantee perfect armholes, sleeves, butts, darts, curves, and neck without refitting. It is simply perfect in all its simplicity and beauty, and we are pleased to cut any one test dress to prove its merits. Never take instructions in any system without having a test dress cut and tried on. Many claim to be self-fitting, but judge for yourself whether the fit is good or bad. So, ladies and gentlemen, and all others, please make a muslin. It's really what this book is saying. It's really saying, you should make a muslin first. You should check your setting, check your fitting. You should make a muslin. Which is, I love that advice is still given in 1891. And do we follow it? Even now? Occasionally. We have tried all these so-called tailor systems and do not wonder that experienced dressmakers are disgusted with them. Practice and experience enable us to say that we have yet to record a single failure in the use of our new system. It is our experience at the base of our system that without a perfect armhole, it's impossible to have perfectly fitting waist and sleeves. Interesting. I don't know why the perfect fitting armhole would affect the waist, but surely the sleeve, yes. And our system is the only one by which a perfect sleeve can be made without a particle of alteration. The rules are so plain for both measuring and drafting that with ordinary care, a mistake is almost impossible. Now, in a previous video, which I'm sure I will link in the top corner, you'll see me drafting a sleeve pattern from scratch. And it does not go well. And I am following the instructions. So I am thinking perhaps I should follow the instructions in here and see what the scientific lady tailor system actually, whether it works. Many will inquire, what is the difference between the scientific lady tailor system and the other so-called tailor systems? Taught from pasteboard, with an imitation square attached, which are only a deception and fraud, as to no person will ever be able to use a square without the attachment. By learning this system, you will be competent to cut like a tailor by tape measure alone, designated from any fashion plate, either English, French, or American styles, and this can be learned in a very short time. A few hours will instruct a dressmaker without refitting or the use of any pattern. Now, the fantastic thing about this particular book, which is why you should really click on the link in the description and go and look at it for yourself, is this has patterns and instructions and is free. So, It does not have, so it has instructions here for how to measure all of the different sections. But for example, the arm's eye, place the tape under the arm and draw the tape up and over the end of the shoulder. Is that this end? Is that the top? Some of the instructions here are not super clear. So width of the back from arm to arm. Is that from the arm? Is that from the seam of where the sleeve joins? Is that from under the arm? So do take it with a grain of salt and do make a mock-up. So yeah, this is one. There's a few things here because it's very much maybe some of this stuff is assumed, but yeah. So height of the chest dart from the bottom of the belt up to where? So, and I do like the hip measure around the hip over the bustle, which is like, oh yes, of course. So, good luck, have a go. If you end up using these instructions, please let me know how it goes in the comments because I really want to know. Now, this is a really good tip actually, and you'll see this popping up in modern measurement systems as well. Never take a measurement without using a belt, as you're likely to take the back length too long, which will cause wrinkles in the hips and too much length between the arms and neck. So what that means is put like a waist tape around your waist. Often it's recommended now like an elastic tied quite tight. A belt is like a narrow belt, also good. And then actually use that to get your waistline and then measure from that as well. And it gives you a nice centered, anchored place where you can actually measure from. Also, get a friend, partner, kid, somebody to help you measure if you can. And if you can't, one way to do it is to do it in front of a mirror or in front of a mobile phone camera or another camera, so that you can basically like check that you're measuring straight, especially across the back, and then you can actually have an idea how accurate your measurements are as well. So the use of curvatures is to get even lines. Unless you do this, your seams will not be straight, which cause wrinkles. There are very few of us who are able to curve without the aid of curvatures. So a curvature is like a French curve, or perhaps they're called English curves if you're in France. I don't know. But one of those nice smooth curves. You can just buy them off eBay and they're not particularly expensive. And also you can get metric versions off eBay as well. And I have a very nice set, and they are very, very helpful. So as you see, we do actually have some patterns in here. Now these are overlapped, as you can tell, and there is more detail in here. So a basque is like the bust section pretty much. So, and then we've got all of these sort of options in here. So line 1, so you can kind of follow along. Oh my god. There's line 1. So you've got your waistline. Draw it 8 inches from the bottom of the paper. Line 2 is the height of the underarm measurement above line 1. So there's your line 2. So all you do is you follow along these instructions step by step until you get a full pattern. Now, I used a modern book to do my bust, basically my jacket pattern, and it worked. Certainly, the chest bust section worked fairly well. And the sleeves eventually worked. Eventually worked. So we have some instructions to draft the measure of the arm's eye. And then we have basque number 2. I don't know how number 2 is different or why it's different. So it proceeds as basque 1 until you get to rule 24. Basque for French bias darts? Don't know. And then rules for 2 underarm gauze by a start. So then we've got a bunch of different sorts of styles, basically. But I think the reason I find this one quite useful, princess or polonaise sleeve, so princess lines, we've actually got like quite good looking 2-part sleeves. Like these look like they should work. Is what I'm saying. So if nothing else, I think this is an option, even if you're just looking for a very simple skirt. So this is American, obviously, and it's 1891. So I would suggest that it's still sort of the English styles of the 1880s, where you're still kind of wearing this over a bustle. So while there's no pictures in here of the completed dress, I think if you Googled and had a little look, you would probably find some information, but I think you're sort of talking 1880s English style with a bustle for these dresses. So for misses and children as well, which is kind of fantastic, you've got a rather nice looking blazer, coat and vest, and you can see this cut off for the vest here. It's going to be a really dramatically cut vest. And then also a double-breasted coat as well. And this is just the cover, which for some reason is at the back of the document instead of earlier on. And then a few extra blank pages, but I did just want to show you, for no particular reason, the end papers, which are glorious. Now, this is a system that I think, with some patience, and with a lot of close attention to instructions, and a lot of measuring, and of course a lot of mock-ups, that we could probably use to make some clothing. I do want to show you this one that I ran across as well. So this is the Fit You First dressmaking system from 1915. And this is absolutely amazing. I don't know if we do this. Will this be better? Maybe. This is at somebody somewhere at some time made a cage that you put on a person and then adjusted it to make the pattern. This is an actual metal cage. So it opens out. I can't imagine. I mean, I'm assuming parts of it are metal and parts of it must be leather in order, like these hip parts and these side parts, they must be leather in order to wrap around the body. But it's just absolutely incredible. So there's a skirt one as well, which is just, could you imagine? And then a sleeve one as well. But yeah, could you imagine being locked into this? And then somebody recording the measurements? It's advertised in here as a way to take the measurements quickly because you don't need to stand there for hours while a dressmaker measures you. I think I would prefer to have a dressmaker stand there and measure me, but it's absolutely remarkable, this thing. And I don't know if it was ever made, if this is only a book, but I think probably this did exist. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Would you? would you use this? And the thing is, it does seem to be aimed at home sewers. So, when a Fit You First is fitted to you, it's so arranged that it cannot slip or get out of place. It can be adjusted to a tight, medium, or loose fit. You can have the lines where they will look the best on your figure. You can see exactly where the lines will be in the finished garment. You avoid the trouble of standing for long hours until exhausted from being fitted. In altering a garment to fit while it is being made, very often the style and design is so changed that the garment is a great disappointment. By using Fit You First, you can put into your clothes a few original ideas which you have worked out. Fit You First means exclusiveness in dress. Absolutely amazing. Just I love it. But yes, do let me know. Would you use this? Do you have any other really cool archive.org documents that you've run across? Let me know in the comments. That would be really cool. Links, of course, will automatically not appear, but I can approve them later, so it's fine that way. Yeah, and if you end up using the patterns in the first document, let me know. I'm very curious. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me on the socials. There are various links in the doobly-doos below. Mostly at the moment, you can probably find me on Threads with a healthy dosing of Mastodon on the side. Both of Mastodon is an excellent sewing community, I will say. So do check that out. Thank you very much for following me here if you have. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to you next time, where I should actually have some sort of actual craft thing to show you. Talk to you next time. Bye.